I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 24th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Joplin's regular feeder cattle auction here on Monday, expecting about 5,000 head. Won't be having a sale next Monday in observance of Memorial Day, but then on June the 2nd, they will be having a special cow and bull sale, expecting around 1,000 head to start at 4:30 in the afternoon. Dispersals on there, including Joe Juergensmeyer cattle from Tipton, Missouri. Also, don't forget if you've got consignments for the Big Bang video that's happening there right before 4th of July, all the big buyers will be there. And if you want to sell your cattle where they stand right there and put them on the video, be sure to get a hold of them there and put them on that primetime livestock video of the Big Bang. Boiling point, and it just feels like we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer to a boiling point about something happening here. It's getting so frustrating with the inequities between what your packers are getting for their product and what they're paying cattle people for theirs. It's gotten ridiculous. So we reached an unbelievable point without a black swan event, which we're not in one right now, but choice box values around $3.25, and they're paying about $1.90 or $1.91 for fat cattle. Dressed, both of those, making over $1,200 per carcass. I've just run out of superlatives to show that drastic inequity to you there. Your fat cattle could be bringing well over $2 a pound live weight, and your packers could still make money. So they've just been so blatant with that. I mean, arm in the cookie jar deal that finally we've seen something come about. We've seen the meeting of truce with all your cattle associations, or all the bigger ones, getting together last Monday, or they got together a week ago last Monday, and then last Monday they put out a statement, a joint statement, and the statement said that they pretty much agreed on everything that needs to be done. Hit about 3 or 4 things there that they really want to get done, including changing some things about mandatory price reporting before they reauthorize that, getting something done about more competition. And it definitely is some things that we need, and we've got some tools to use with that. We've got 2 bills that we could push, one 5014 and one Cattle Market Transparency Act. Maybe we could do a hybrid of the 2. We need to get something done. We need to get something done quick. Iowa Cattlemen's Association, their frustration is just unbelievable, and they actually wrote a letter to the Attorney General and to the Secretary of Agriculture last week, and said that they are demanding concurrent investigations on your big 4 packers, looking into collusion and unfair trade practices and all the like there. And then we've seen several lawmakers and other groups join in on that and back that letter that they sent. So that's a big deal. I tell you what, we're getting to a boiling point, and your packers have just been too cute about it, and they really don't care what people say about them, or how blatant they're being in their cutthroat tactics. And they've just gotten to the point now where your cattle people, as individual as they are, they're just about to get together and get something done about it. We sure need that to happen. Now, we also saw, and I had heard it rumored a few weeks ago, that JBS was refusing to pay their dues to NCBA, and then last week, late in the week, we saw it pretty widely reported that JBS has indeed quit NCBA. Good riddance to them. Why would they even want to be in there anyway? A lot of you guys are saying, why would JBS be paying dues to NCBA? That's the B, guys. That's the infiltration that your packers have gone in there whenever they put those 2 associations together, and instead of just being the Cattlemen's Association, we were Cattlemen's Beef Association. And it's kind of hard to be looking out for the foxes' interest and the hen's interest, both in the same hen house. I don't see how that works. But a lot of people are saying, what do you think about that? JBS letting that be reported that way, and the optics just don't look very good. Well, if you kept track of JBS since they came from Brazil and kind of took things over, and basically, they're the biggest protein provider in the world now. They haven't worried about fingers, toes, and noses that they've stepped on to get to where they're at. They've never really worried about optics at all. So it doesn't surprise us that they would quit. And they didn't even come back when it was reported out pretty widely that they quit. We could understand why the other majors wouldn't really come out and do that, or wouldn't allow that to happen and be reported on. But JBS has never really worried about what people thought of them, of all the things that they've done to get to where they're at. That they've used bribery, they've used a lot of lying and cheating and stealing and stuff like that. They get caught all the time, just like they did with messing with the hot scales up there in Nebraska. Whenever they get caught, they just say, okay, how much is the fine? And they pay the fine and go on. They don't even apologize for anything. So it doesn't surprise us that JBS, the optics don't look great for them doing that. But basically, they don't feel like NCBA is looking out for their interests. And if they're not, that means they're looking a little more out for your cattlemen's interests. And that's what we've been wanting all along. Let's talk about your cattle on feed report that come out on Friday. And a lot of you didn't even pay any attention to it, because everything's so screwed up when you're trying to look back to a year ago because of the situation that we were in a year ago with the COVID shutdowns, and then we had panic buying, and then we had gouging, and then we had your workers weren't able to keep the workers on the line, so they weren't able to keep production up, and people were scared to sell their cattle because there was so much uncertainty in the market, and the whole thing was just a mess. But we still compare those cattle on feed reports and the data that comes out to the same time a year ago. Well, on the surface, cattle on feed report very bearish. So I'm going to give you the numbers. Inventories May the 1st, 104.7, 104.7% of a year ago, a full point more than what the averaging analyst guess was, which was 103.7. Your placements is what it was really bad. Placements come out to be 127.2% of a year ago, where your guesses averaged 120.8. So, I mean, you would think that the board would just lock down the limit. I mean, it would just be the most bearish thing you can ever imagine. Look at your marketings. They may have been a little bit bearish too, at 132.8 compared to 133.6 that they thought of. So, like I said, very bearish cattle on feed report when you look at it. But now let's peel that onion back and look another layer deeper. Let's go back to 2019, whenever things were normal, I guess you could say. And basically, we're back to normal now. Now, you hear a lot of reports of your plants not being able to operate. It's not really due to COVID. It's due to all this federal unemployment aid that the Biden administration is throwing people. It's the same reason that none of your fast food restaurants or any of your contractors can find any help. People are making as much or more money sitting at home as they can working. So they'd rather not work. That's why we can't keep people, all your employees, keeping those plants running at full bore right now. It's not due to COVID scares for the most part. But let's look back to 2019 and compare the data that we just got on the cattle on feed report to 2019. If we just went with inventory, instead of 104.7, our number would be 98.3. That sounds pretty good. Placements, instead of the placement number being 127.2, our placement number would be like 94.3. That sounds really bullish too. And so, we don't have a lot of numbers there in either your placements or your inventories, but it's just compared to that messed up year last year. But it's going to be interesting to see what the board does to start the week out. Now your overnights, because we're still kind of at the mercy of grains more than anything. But overnights look to be pretty positive, through the weekend. So we'll kind of see what happens. But let's look at your board for last week. June live cattle futures. Monday was up a nickel. Tuesday up $1.40. Wednesday up 15. Thursday down 30. Friday up 107, with June live cattle ending the week at 117.67. That was up 237 on live cattle futures. August 120.92, up $2.10. So not too bad on your live cattle futures for last week. How about feeder cattle? Monday on May, feeder cattle was up 37 cents. Then it just tumbled all through the middle part of the week. Tuesday down 72, Wednesday down 62, Thursday down 82, then Friday come back up 147. May feeder cattle contracts ended the week 137.22, down 33 cents for the week. August, the all-important August, 153.70, actually up 255. Now you think, why, what's the deal on that? Well, they're throwing some bones to August. August is so important. I'd say August is your most important feeder cattle contract. April would be your most important live cattle contract. But August is the most important feeder cattle contract. Why? Because we got this huge gap between our spot May, and then we're going to have to go all the way out to August. During that, we're going to price a lot of your fall delivery calves and almost all of your late summer, mid to late summer, and fall delivery yearlings. We're going to price those off that spot futures contract there with all of our big videos, a ton of direct trade, and then some big brick and mortar feeder cattle specials that happen mid to latter part of the summer there. And they're all going to be pointing to August there and looking off of it. So that's good that we had support on August feeder cattle futures. Let's talk about your grains. Now your old crop July corn 659.5. New crop ended the week at 546.5. That's for December. Now beans, which aren't quite as important to your cattle market, but old crop July beans 1526.25 to end the week. New crop November beans 1360.5. But a big disparity between the old crop and the new crop. We're expecting a pretty decent crop. And we had some decent rains in areas that grow some corn all of last week. Fat cattle trade. Through Thursday of last week, 68,300 head, kind of about where we've been running here of late, the last many weeks. Live steers and heifers selling from 118 to 121.25, negotiated in the country, your 5-area feeding region. Weighted average on live steers 119.71. That's just about steady, guys. And your market was just kind of unevenly steady all week. And dress sales 188 to 193 last week. Weighted average on dress steers 190.56. That's just about steady too. A lot of people are still calling those charity bids. It's not like your feedlots are holding cattle back and holding these guys' feet to the fire. They're just kind of holding it up there. They're making so much money already that they hate to show any more gall than what they already are. Didn't have much sales at all on Friday, so what I just gave you through Thursday is going to be mostly it, and those weighted averages won't change much. Had a little bit of trade confirmed in Nebraska on Friday at 120, just a few loads. But you look at your volume last week in your 5-area feeding region. Iowa, this is all negotiated. Iowa about 18,300 head. Nebraska a little more than they've had at 25,700 head. Kansas quite a bit more, like twice as many as they had the previous week at 16,500. Texas would have tripped another trigger on the 75% of a robust market deal at 7,100s all for the week. And Colorado didn't even move 1,000. How about your slaughter? 669,000. That's 29,000 more than the previous week, 97,000 more than the same week a year ago. Box beef cutout values, I told you a little bit earlier about those, and the disparity between that and what cattle are bringing is just huge. Your weighted average on all of last week's choice cut trade, 323.14. That was up another $9.08 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. That wasn't even as high as it got. Friday afternoon top quote, 325.17. Select almost averaged $3 a pound for all of last week's trade. That's unbelievable. Weighted average on all of last week's select sales, 299.91. That was up 464 compared to the weighted average of the previous week. Your Friday afternoon quotes on select, 302.31. Talk about your feeder cattle markets. Real-time index on DV auction ended the week at 134.72. That was up $1.36 compared to the end of the previous week. And your cattle going right into the feedlot in your auction sales last week, they were steady to $3 higher. We saw some up to $5 higher, but steady to $3 higher in most of your sales last week. We did see some renewed interest in lighter weights. There's not any real true stocker cattle out there right now, not any hard stocker cattle. And if you do see some, I mean, it's lights out for them. They'll bring it all. But mostly just kind of, short weaned calves, a lot of balling calves, and then backgrounded type yearlings. Not a lot of green yearlings. So your yearlings east of the Mississippi are bringing just as much or more by the time you get them back here to your 5-area feeding region, because they're fairly green. But you look at some of your bigger sales. How about late last week on Friday, Turlock Livestock Auction Yard, Turlock, California, Max Oliver and Company there, 4,800 head of feeders. And if you look at this market report, automated market report through Cattle Market Central, you see that a lot of the cattle at Turlock were middleweight calves there, and there'll be some big strings on them. On this this report here, individual quotes, 276 head, a 612-pound steers bring $159, and 318 head in one whack weighed 556 at 167. How about St. Ons, South Dakota? Now it's dry there. It's dry there. They did get a little bit of moisture, but I tell you what, that's the area of the country where it's the driest. I tell you what, I drove all over the southern plains in the lower Midwest last week. I mean, all through Texas, North Texas, Central Texas, all around Oklahoma, all up and around through Missouri, all through Kansas, the Flint Hills, everywhere, and it absolutely rained like a cow pissing on a flat rock. Everywhere I was at all of last week. Amarillo got tons of rain. We had a lot of rain while I was gone from home. I mean, big rains like 4 inches to 7 inches in some places all of last week. Unbelievable. A lot of places didn't get that much, but in spots we got that much. But, a lot of good moisture around, and praise God for that, because we sure needed it. But places like St. Ons, South Dakota, they still need more. You go north from there, up into your western side of North Dakota and the eastern side of Montana, definitely need rain. But 90 head, 674-pound steers, St. Ons, South Dakota, bring 161.25. But the best quote that I saw anywhere late last week, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Crawford Livestock Market in Crawford, Nebraska, 331 head, 887-pound steers, bring 139.50. That's your feeder flash for Monday.